Hello everybody, it's Caitlin here. Today I am making Nurture Soap's Crisp Juniper Soap. So I have my lye solution here and I just mixed it outside and I'm just making sure that it's all dissolved, which it appears that it is. So now that that's dissolved, I'm going to be adding a pinch of Mulberry Silk. So I'm going to add that in and let that dissolve in the hot lye water. Usually takes a couple minutes. Mulberry Silk dissolves very quickly. It's silkworms that only feed off of like mulberry leaves. So it's a very specific silk that they produce. So I'm going to let that dissolve a little bit more. These are my hard oils and butters. And in here I have palm oil, coconut oil, and kokum butter. Kokum butter is very, very hard. And it has a really high melting point. And it almost feels and smells like just like wax. Just like a really hard wax. Like a beeswax or something like that. So I started melting them down because I was going to make my lye solution with ice and have like a cooler lye solution and melt all of my hard oils and butters. But after I melted these about halfway, I realized, oh, I need to dissolve my Mulberry Silk in my hot lye solution. Oop. So I was like, well, I better stop melting those down now. So that's why these are very melted, but that's okay because it does have a little bit of that kokum butter in it. Okay, so this looks all dissolved and the silk is all incorporated. This should produce a pretty hard bar because of that kokum butter. Plus I have the palm in there too, and I haven't really taken too much away from my palm oil. So it's going to be a very firm bar. In this container, I have my olive and my apricot kernel oil. And I'm going to be adding a tablespoon of goat milk powder. Okay, and that's all melted, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and add my, it's 130 and this is 68 degrees. So I'm going to add my olive oil and apricot kernel oil to these hard oils and butters. And then along with that, I am going to be adding, this is a, it's my citric acid dissolved in about 1.5 ounces of water. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. And the fragrance, like I said at the beginning, is Nurture Soap Crisp Juniper. And a lot of people use this around Christmas time, but it's perfectly fine to use it right now because it's very high notes of citrus in it. And the juniper is really not a very strong scent in it. It's mostly very citrusy and green. And this should behave well. It smells really good, and it does smell very citrusy. Very good. See, I haven't even stick blended yet other than that goat milk going in. Well, it is starting to warm up. Okay, so let's get this to emulsion, and then I am going to split it off into the different colors. And I'm hoping I could stick blend minimally. I don't even know how I'm going to do this, like what design I want to do yet. I am going to add some French green clay, which I did not even blend. Oh. I just kind of plopped it in there and didn't do anything else. So there's some French green clay. I just wanted a light green. And that was a teaspoon of French green clay dispersed in that. And then the next one is going to be Indigo root powder, or just indigo powder from Nurture Soap. And I'm just adding the powder dispersed in a little bit of olive oil straight to the batch. Now this was a teaspoon of indigo powder in a little bit of olive oil also. Kind of want to see what it's going to do. See what all these colorants are going to do, because I know it's going to gel. Hopefully that stays like a bluish color. And then in this one, I am using some marshmallow root powder, which it'll just give it kind of like a tan color, so they say on the website. And I got this from Wholesale Supplies Plus. I'm going to add just another teaspoon, half a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon. This is behaving really well for how hot it is. There we go. That made it a little bit more green. And I have to stick blend it. What do I want to do? Do I want to do a layered look? Do I want to do a swirl? You know what? I'm going to do some weird stuff. Okay, so into the indigo, I'm going to do a little bit of this marshmallow root powder soap and just pour it in. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the French green clay to it and kind of do like a layered situation maybe. I don't know. It's not going to be perfect, and it's going to be weird. You know, I'm just going to do a drop swirl of it. And then I'm going to do the 2 lighter ones together and kind of drop swirl those. Okay. And then more of this marshmallow powder into the indigo and drop this in. Kind of very green. I was not expecting that. And then I'm going to add that into here. This is straight chaos. This is what happens when I don't plan. And then I'm going to just put all of these into one container and pour it on top. I've never done this before. I'm trying to get my soaps not to all look the same and all have like the same swirls and stuff. Now, I will scrape this off. I'm just going to kind of do a little swirly action. Not that it matters. Okay, I'm going to tap this down. Okay, it's starting to harden up. So I'm going to just do a little swoopity-doop over to one side. I think I'm going to leave it at that. And then I have my Juniper berries from Soma Sundries. Is it Sundries or Sundries? I don't know. I don't know. So, let me turn this, and as you can see, it's still pretty fluid, but it is thickening up. I'm going to add a couple berries on each one. So it's been about 5 minutes and it has not separated. I think I was just seeing the color difference between the marshmallow root powder and the other colorants that made it look like oil separation. But I think that's just the difference between the different colors. So anyways, I added an extra berry on each bar. So it'll be a little cluster of 3 juniper berries. And I think I'm going to leave it at that, and I will bring you guys back for the cut. Hello, I am back to cut the soap, and I am going to cut the end piece off. And as you can see, it's going to discolor. That's wild looking. That is really wild. Let's see what happens here. Now I'm really excited to see this sit out for a day or so and see what happens. Interesting. You could see all of the rings. Oh, it's getting close to the berries. As you can see, the soap that's been sitting out for a minute has already started to darken up. So that's wild. This is the dark, the indigo. There's some of the green in there. And then look at that. Isn't that crazy? That is wild. And look, it's getting even darker just from sitting. This is a fresh cut. And this is like 2 minutes cut. And this is a fresh cut.